All right, we'll resume the meeting back in order here at 10:41 a.m. And right now we have a tribal member, Eugene Summers, would like to address, I guess, a complaint that he had with Monoman County Sheriff here a few days ago, and I know he wanted to address it with us. And of course, yesterday during our meeting with the governor's office, and I talked about it earlier in the meeting too, Eugene, that I expressed a lot to Commissioner Harrington that he look into this, and I know Chief LaRocque was going to set up a meeting with us and the council to address this issue. And I brought up I know Chairman Siki from Red Lake, and I know Chairman Larson or President Larson from Lower Sioux. They brought up the same kind of concerns too, is like we don't want our sacred items, harmed in any way. So we stressed a lot on the training yesterday. Some of the training that the state, and I know Commissioner Harrington addressed it too, that the police officers and the county officers and the state troopers, they need this like Herbie Fine Day training that he does at FDL, and I know Harrington agreed with that, and I know that we're going to sit down, and I'm not sure did you reach out to Nigel yet to set up a meeting with Commissioner? I know Umji and Alan wanted to, also Kathy too, wanted to sit down with the commissioner and talk about some of the stuff, and I know it's kind of I did talk about it yesterday with the commissioner of so we did bring that up. So I guess okay, I'll give you the floor. I guess you can say, because I'm not sure exactly what.
So I don't want to reiterate my story because I've told it already so many times and posted it on social media, and I gave you my report that describes the whole incident. Some of the things I want to point out, I haven't received a copy of our compact agreement with Monoman County from our legal department, and then I'll just say some of my other concerns at the end when I'm done. Let's see. I was able to find a copy of our compact agreement from March 19th, 1999, and right off the top it says that Monoman County recognizes White's inherent right to exercise law enforcement on the reservation as an exercise of inherent sovereignty, and it also states that we don't entirely waive our sovereignty to them. Let's see. We only waive a degree of it. So I interpret that as we retain civil regulatory, and we have every right to request a tribal officer. If I'm a tribal member on tribal land, my car is registered within with the band, and I request a tribal officer, I feel that's a valid act of sovereignty. And if it's not, I would like to know an example, because I feel like Monoman County has infringed on our sovereignty and desecrated our items, and there's a long history of systematic racism from that department underserving our people, and we need to address this. Like I said, when I interrupted your meeting, I'm sorry for that, but I feel like I'm not heard. I feel like you guys didn't reach out to me, and just with the whole special meeting today, there wasn't any transparency about what was happening regarding this, especially to me, and I find that unacceptable because we all have personal relationships. But other than that, like I know that you guys are dealing with a pandemic and everything, and I empathize with you, and I always try to put myself in your shoes before I try to address anything. But as a carrier for our people, this is unacceptable. You guys are supposed to have our backs on this, and I'm getting emotional right now. So, Mike, do you want to take a break?
Well, one of the things huge is that, for us council members, when it gets into like public law 280 and, our attorneys and, I guess personally myself, and getting all the whole story from your side to the county side, and then, yesterday bringing in Chief LaRocque in my office and then meeting with talking to the commissioner about this incident, and of course reaching out to him as, that sits on top of the food chain that we do want to get down to the bottom. So how, and of course this incident, reflects and and I'm not sticking up for Bonoma County officer, but it's not good policing. We're going through this right now through our country, through this incident that happened down in Minneapolis a few months ago or a month ago with George Floyd. And these are the things that are really sensitive to us. And I think when it comes to us, so we don't want to open up our mouths to anything to how do you say it, to, give you the wrong information or tell you that, that they're wrong and create or tear apart relationships with our county neighbors or within, of course, Sonoma County is within our borders, but I'm just saying that we have to have some type of, some type of a way of communicating with them. Of course, Chief LaRock here has reached out to Sheriff Gunther, that, that maybe we do need to bring him in or we go see him or whatever to discuss this, that, that one of your deputies was out of line, that, and I know you have every right to appeal your process of what you did with, you can go to the post board, you can send it to, of course, to the sheriff to take action, direct action, and he will probably send you a letter or take some type of action of saying that we apologize, that there has to be something done. Our officers have to be more culturally sensitive, especially when it comes to, our sacred items, and that's one thing what Chief Commissioner Harrington said yesterday is like, that's unacceptable. So he wants to hear more from us too, as from our thing. So he's going to be, like I said, Mike is going to reach out to Nigel Harrington's tribal liaison. So we are doing stuff back here as the council. We're not just like sweeping this under the rug.
Yeah.
We are trying to be proactive with your case and how we can mend these and how we can, and of course, we were all concerned for you. When I got that the other morning, it's like, what's going on here, So, but I need to get all the details too before I react to it, So these are things I think that delayed onset that happens with us, that we can't just react because we want to see and hear all a part of the story because, we're all supporting you as a band member. I will always support you, Eugene, as a band member. But I'm just saying that we need to get all of our compiled information to us first before, let our legal go through and look at it and before we can do a statement, a public statement.
As far as reaching out to you, this is the first I heard about it was yesterday, so,
Okay, well, it's just the full transparency with all that. I felt like I should have been informed as a tribal member. The Turtle Mountain Band, the Ojibwe Tribal Council reached out to me. The Red Lake Band, or the Red Lake Ojibwe reached out to me. Leech Lake Band reached out to me. Native Government Center reached out to me. University of Minnesota Duluth reached out to me. And to not get any kind of consultation with you guys was just hurting, especially when I consider you guys.
Today's the first time we met, and I addressed it at the earlier part of the meeting on live here. So I assume that we are going through the process of going through the commissioner. Mike's made headway with the county sheriff. I know that we have to. What I'm trying to say is like we can't have this happen again. Mm-hmm. To me, it's like it was a show of really bad disrespect. I'm not going to say racism because I haven't really looked at it a lot, but you're saying it. I mean, I know that processes have to be fixed. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that day, that morning, that incident when it happened is like that. We have to. How do we mend this and how do we fix this? No, of course, nobody was hurt. I know our items were broken. I mean, so these are things I know that the sheriff hopefully will reach out to you personally and tell you that, he's sorry that, because he is an elected official too. So I'm hoping that we do get you get some type of apology from Illinois County. Yeah. I'm hoping that comes up.
Well, I'm hesitant to file my complaint because he hasn't replied to my emails. I gave you a copy of my email stating that the only thing that's stopping me from moving forward is I want to know if they have a detailed description of the incident prior to me filing my complaint, because I don't want I don't want that information to be what's the word I'm looking for, manipulated in any way to directly contradict what I have to say and what my statements are. I'm not seeking. I'm not wishing any harm or any kind of. I don't want because we do have a working relationship with him. I'm not trying to damage that. What I'm trying to do is address these address these issues that have been going on for way too long. And I think we can all agree that if this happened to someone else, it wouldn't be getting the attention it is. But since it happened to me, like, I have to use my platform to elevate our people's voice.
Can I say something?
Not right now.
Okay. Well, I do want to say
Well,
this.
Alan, please, not right now,
Mr.
because
Chair, can I say something? I want to say that there have been multiple complaints brought forward, not just regarding Monoma County, but I've gotten complaints about Becker County. I've got complaints about Monoma and Clearwater. And so we brought these things to Chief LaRock to help work on that. I did notice some of the traffic that's being discussed here, but even earlier in the week, I was working on issues related to law enforcement. And so we've asked Mike and the legal team and the chairman here to lead the way on it. So this is very serious stuff. It's very serious stuff. It needs to be looked into. And I think you guys had a community meeting while we were at TEC. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'd love to hear what you guys discussed, if possible.
well, I do have my pipe with me, and I do have that tobacco that those prayers were put in. You want me to smoke my pipe and talk about it?
That's fine.
Fine?
Yeah.
Kathy, is that okay if I put my pipe up?
Good.
Good.
You see quarterly, and with Monoma, then he started asking for a lot, well, to clean up and this and that. All of a sudden, the meeting stopped, and it was quarterly. We can go to their commission.
And I know when we talked to the commissioner yesterday on the phone with the rest of the tribal leaders, is that he is going through a reform right now, and I know that the state is changing some process. I know even at the legislature right now, I know that they are the Democratic Party is pushing more reform. They're actually trying to what are they trying to do? Redo the whole police system, I think it is.
It's called defunding, but it really doesn't mean what everybody thinks it means. When you say you're going to defund your police department, it doesn't mean you're getting rid of your police department. Defunding means that you're looking for alternate ways to solve a problem. That's what I get out of it. That's what I get out of defunding your police department. And I think a lot of people are not listening to what defunding means. And it means that we probably still need law enforcement, but we just got to find a better way to do it. You know, we need community support. We need the things that to help law enforcement do their jobs, you know, and stuff like that are better serve the people. That's what I feel, and that's what I take defunding as. So, and I don't know. You want me to just elaborate a little bit more on that? I don't know. Basically some of the things that the White Tribal Police are doing right now, and they have been continuing to do, is we do cultural sensitivity training. We had Murphy Thomas come in and train our whole staff one time. We were all ready to have Merlin and Herb come in, do some training for our staff before COVID hit. So, and now with this incident, we're going to turn around and we're going to, along with Commissioner Harrington and Nigel and all the sheriff's departments and the state patrol and everybody, we're going to organize a cultural sensitivity training with probably with Herb Finday, who specializes in this kind of training. Herb Finday has been well known to, he's trained all the sheriffs in district, some of the sheriffs in the districts that are where the pipeline's going to come through. He's trained them all in cultural sensitivity training there. I talked to Sheriff Glander from Becker County and said that he sat in on a training with Herb Finday, and it was very, very, very well accepted, and it was very good. That's why I picked Herb. Herb Finday is a tribal member from White Earth here. He was the chief of police of Fond du Lac. He retired from Fond du Lac. He's got his own side job or whatever it is, where he does some cultural stuff and all that. So I think it'd be in our best interest, and all three counties have all basically verbally accepted, well, the two counties, but I haven't talked to Clearwater yet. They've accepted that they're going to make it mandatory that all their staff attend this cultural sensitivity training, I have to reach out to the state patrol and get them on board, and then I just have to reach out to Clearwater County. I have a monthly meeting with Clearwater County, Becker, and Monoman coming up here in the next couple of weeks. I think it might be next week. So, and we're gonna sit and talk about it a little bit. Today I'm not going to talk about any of the complaint stuff that Eugene's bringing up. I cannot do that. That's not my place to do that. That's the Monoman County Sheriff's place to do that. I'm not gonna. I may have opinion on it, but I'm not going to share that with anybody. But as far as the civil regulatory and the public law 280 stuff, I had a chance to look at our agreement with Monoman County before I came down here, and there is a stipulation in our compact agreement that Monoman County does have civil regulatory authority. They do. All three counties have civil regulatory authority. So in a nutshell, all three counties and White Tribal Police Department basically share all the same jurisdiction. They do, whether it's state or civil regulatory. We do. As little as possible as me to talk about his incident. Requesting a tribal officer, I believe, in my opinion, is that it's his probably right to do that, but it's not written anywhere in any agreement that they have to turn a stop over to the tribal police. They don't have to. There's nothing in agreement that says they have to do that. Okay, you can request it, and you have your right to request it, but in this case, he requested, and the officer said no. And in my opinion, it went the way it did. And by bringing a tribal officer into this situation, it probably wouldn't have, in my opinion, it wouldn't have helped. I mean, it would have helped as far as tribal officer being here for backing him up. But there's no way in any sense that the tribal officer would have took the traffic stop over. He would have never did that. He didn't have, in my opinion, he didn't have the right to really do that unless the officer on the scene said, okay, I'm gonna let you take this over. You do it, you can, blah, blah, blah. That's my opinion on the whole thing. And I'm gonna stop at that. I'm not gonna talk anymore about that. Some of the things that I have been implementing and I have been continuing to do with our police department is that community policing initiatives are knowing people, and that's my opinion on it. Is that knowing people, and by our guys being out there and attending community meetings and doing stuff like that, it gets them to know the community. So if say, and I'm not saying special treatment, I'm saying anything, I'm saying just that if you know the people. We had a couple instances where we had officers stop individuals, they were tribal members, and they didn't know who they were, and I knew who they were. I knew that I knew one guy they pulled over that's been sober for 10 years. Well, the way the report came out is that that he was drinking, and he wasn't. So if our officer would have known this person, he would have known that he was sober for 10 years, and it's going to be tough to do that. It is really going to be tough to. It's going to be tough for everybody to know everybody. All cops know everybody, but at least we got to make an effort. We have to make an effort on stuff like that, and that's what community policing does. That's actually that's what community policing is knowing the communities, and knowing who you're dealing with, and knowing that stuff like this won't happen again. Knowing who's a plate carrier, knowing who's a spiritual advisor, and stuff like that. That's the way I look at it. So
knowing who's just going to work.
I agree that we need to implement.
Exactly. But I mean, that's in a nutshell. My initiatives are moving forward. They're moving forward with community policing. They're moving forward with cultural sensitivity. They are moving forward. The other thing that I would like to speak of just quickly would be, we are starting a community service officer program for each community. We're just in the infancy state of it, saying that we have to find funding for it. We know the general fund is hurting. We know that we're going to have to find funding for this program. What this program would do is it would put one tribal member, kind of a leader in the community, in each community. We picked the 4 big communities. We picked Monoman, City of Monoman, to be able to to be able to be a liaison for all the wraparound, not only law enforcement, but every division that we have here, all the wraparound services. There would be a person in there that would do activities in that community. They would help with wraparound services. They would help with the overdoses. They would help with everything in that community. It sounds like a really, really big job, but I mean, if we pick the right person to do it, we can be successful in this thing, you know? And it just proves that the community is asking for this. I know Umzi and Mike were at the Pine Point meeting. I didn't make the Pine Point meeting, and they were crying for a community service officer. Not crying, I wouldn't say that. They were asking for it, and they were really reaching out for it. And that's why I'm working with Behavioral Health. I'm working with Public Health right now to secure some funding for this program. We're also reaching out to Scott Elmott, and we're going to be reaching out to the council to see if the CARES Act money covers it for a startup fee on it, because if it's under public safety. So those are some of the things that we actually are working on. Community policing. Umzi, I heard you talking about the probation officers earlier.
Yeah.
I want to address that a little bit. We as the White Earth Nation have reached out to the DOC to basically put an office here. We did. I don't know where that went. I know COVID probably maybe stopped it, but we have a probation officer right now that spent like 4 hours in our office yesterday doing some paperwork and stuff like that. And those relationships with the probation officers in our area that have clients here on White Earth Reservation need to have a better relationship with us, with the tribal council, with the police department, with everybody else, so we can reach out to where if somebody can't make a meeting, they can get them transportation. They can get the wraparound services they need to get to those appointments and stuff like that. So I would still suggest that whether we put a office right here in the building, once we open up or whatever, we put a spot for all probation officers that have clients here on White Earth Reservation, or White Earth Nation. We should follow through with that. We need to follow through with that and get them here and get a schedule for them. And then when they make their appointments, instead of making them run all the way to DL or making them run all the way to Future Fall or wherever they gotta go, they can come here. They can come here and they can meet with their probation officers.
90% of them don't have a driver's license to get anyplace.
Exactly. And if we can arrange, if we get ahead of this thing, and we were at the table with DOC, and we were at the table, and we still are. We have a tribal member that's the liaison for DOC right now. And I think these things could be worked out, and I think it's very valuable for us to do this and help our tribal members, and make so they have a better way to get here and meet with their probation officers.
I was on the phone with Randy last week for 45 minutes on this very thing,
Yep.
And that's something that we could reach out to Commissioner Schnell to do consultation, because our consultation's coming back up again, and we can get them over here in this room or on Zoom and do our consultation and request that we want probation from the state of Minnesota to have on this.
Well, I just want to say that this has been an ongoing issue for many years, and I wrote down what Eugene had said at the beginning, and somebody had talked to me yesterday. They said, what is the intersection of tribal sovereignty, law enforcement, and where does all this stuff meet together? You mentioned defund the police, these movements that are happening. And so what you led with was very, very good, was the compact agreement. So the best thing that this council can do is, because it's a systemic issue, right? You understand that. This is a systemic issue, and for us to fix the system, we have to change the agreement. The chief just told us that the agreement does not have provisions in there that allow for a tribal member to request a law enforcement officer, right? That's something that we can fix. There's other issues that are going on. We can put in the compact, we can mandate that if they're gonna have a compact with us, that there be cultural sensitivity training provided. I don't believe that's in the compact. There are community policing initiatives. We can set goals within that compact with all of these agreements that we have. That's how we can fix this at the system level. And that's gonna help our people, young men like yourself and young men like myself and women, my brother, my family, your family, everyone's families out here that are being affected by this, because it is a huge issue. And that's how you do it. That's how we do it. And I would love to see, these compacts brought back to the table, and we could take a look at how we're gonna fix them. That's how we fix it at the systems level. We spend a lot of money as a band doing law enforcement. And I can almost guarantee you that if we make these reasonable requests, those compacts can be modified, right? And I think it can be done fairly quickly. I don't think it should take a very long time. This is something that's had to have happened eventually. And unfortunately, it happened to you, and it just come to a head, right? And that ain't right, you know. I mean, there's, like I was saying earlier, there are, some of our young people are being harassed by the police, right? But not only that, but their families are, right? Whole families are being harassed over one individual that isn't involved with the incidents that are happening, you know? And so this is something that we can work with as a sovereign nation. And that's where that intersects, right? That's where that intersects, where our sovereignty, law enforcement, and our compacts agreements intersect. It intersects at that systems level. And I think we can, Mr. Chair, I really think we can do this. I think we can do it fairly quickly.
Yep. Have the floor, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Alan. One thing I did want to point out, I guess we'd have to get legal in here, but the way I understand sovereignty is to self-govern. And in this particular situation, I was on tribal land, my vehicle was registered with the tribe. I identified myself as a tribal member. And I know a lot of people, you know, it's a gray area and it's very, very unique situation. But if you read my report, I don't expect you to read it right now, but after, and we just imagine that tribal sovereignty and jurisdiction is not in play, there is multiple violations of my constitutional rights, and just a demonstration of poor policy and procedure. And I did note the federal laws that protect our items. And when I say desecrate, it doesn't mean to break my items like you did my shell and my eagle feather, but it means to disrespect them or handle them in an improper, disrespectful way. So that's what I'm trying to get at here. Is that, like, yeah, I'm all for restorative justice here and making the system better. I mean, I empathize with the officer that pulled me over, because I know he's getting a lot of backlash, and you know, his family and all that has to deal with that. But I mean, this has been an ongoing issue for far too long, and it needs to be addressed. And I'm glad that that you guys are I'm glad that we're having the talks about the compact agreement. And there was another, I wanted to touch on the compact agreement, but now I'll have to come back to it when I recall. But then also within our legal department, I am an advocate for 1855 treaty rights, and I know UMSI and Ray sit on the 1855 Treaty Authority. So I did receive a traffic ticket from one of our tribal officers, and you know, I honor our sovereignty, so I paid the ticket. But on the back of the ticket, I noticed that it said it was going to infringe on my 1855 treaty rights, which is, you guys don't have the authority to do so, since that treaty it existed before White Earth was even, before the governing body even formed. So that's an infringement of our rights. And if we're going to exercise those rights and have the state recognize them, we need to fix the stuff back at home. So my suggestion would be, instead of infringing on treaty rights, to use the DMV. If tribal members aren't paying their fines, make them ineligible to get tribal plates and tribal registration, have them go to the state. Because, I mean, if we don't respect our sovereignty, the state's not going to, the local governments aren't going to, and the federal government sure in the hell isn't.
No problem is that treaty rights don't stand up within the reservation boundaries.
Also, I'm sorry, I'm not well versed in that area.
the 1855 treaty rights don't hold up within the reservation boundaries. Outside the reservation boundaries, they're fine, but within the reservation boundaries, in that, them ordinances that they have in place, you know, you gotta abide by Whiter's conservation code or whatever's in place.
Traffic code. Well, I don't know, from my studies at the University of Minnesota, treaties are supposed to be the supreme law of the land, and
Yeah, they are.
I'm sorry, I don't mean this by any disrespect, I'm trying to acknowledge this. And maybe in some way, there was an illegal action to give a governing body some sort of authority over those treaties.
Well, that's another thing, you know, they have all these ordinances and resolutions in place, you know, over the last 30, 40 years, you know, that.
Yeah, I'm well aware of the 1854 and the 1855 and how they coincide, and how Buganagijic was a negotiator in those treaties, and he's put that specific language in the 1854 about how we retain, I don't know the word, but we retain hunting and gathering rights within those areas. And then it was just assumed in the 1855, but then the federal government, you know, we didn't exercise those rights for so long, and the history of the federal government, you know, just allowing colonizers to violate those rights, and we didn't use them for so long. But the Mille Lacs Band was actually a signer within the 1854 and in the 1855, so they brought those rights with them to the 1855 in a court case in 2000. I want to say it was 2006. It was pretty recent, and the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, affirmed those treaty rights. So I mean, that's our pathway in.
Yeah.
And I'm just saying that if we want to exercise treaty rights, we need to fix what's going on at home first. And infringement on our treaty rights up there, that's not good, and it's not effective governance. So I think we should. I just want to make you guys aware of that. And there's so much more I want to talk about. But yeah, Alan, I'll let you talk.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because we just had Frank in here earlier today, and he's the attorney for that board. So it'd be very nice to maybe have him take a look at what you're saying here and see where we can make headway with it. But that being said, also this MCT land transfer, they're trying to pass an act of Congress, right, to basically eliminate your rights on these other places in the state.
Within the 55.
Within the 55. That's actively going on right now. And so this council has been very vocal in our opposition of that. Unfortunately, you know, it's kind of at a standstill for now. And, you know, there's other issues going on with that. And so we do have Frank, he's working on this stuff, but it'd be nice for him to have the same discussion on what you're talking about here. It'd be very important, actually.
Yeah. Sorry, can I have the floor again, please? Okay. So I didn't remember what I was thinking about within our compact agreements. We should hold these counties to a standard where they have to provide the same amount of the same quality of law enforcement that we provide for our members, in order for us to be in agreement with for us to waive our sovereignty to them. They have to treat us just as well or better. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? I'm sorry, I can't find the words right now. They should be set to a standard, to our standard, because our police, we hold them up to a specific standard, and I feel like the counties are down here while we're up here. They should have to meet our standards of care.
Can I comment?
Yeah, but
I do agree that we need to be all on the same level. That's what I agree with. With the Whiter Tribal Police Department, we've implemented body cams. We've implemented, we got our in-car cameras. We got all that stuff that would have alleviated kind of what happened here. I believe that with those implementations of body cams and stuff like that, I honestly believe that yes, that would have probably eliminated this, because with the Whiter Tribal Police Department, where I'm continuously getting complaints. I get complaints from tribal members that say that officers are doing this, and doing that. So what I do is, what's a good way for me is I tell them our officers wear body cams. We have policy on it. They have to wear them at all times. They have to turn them on everything they do. So I go back and look at the body cam footage and find out what exactly happened. That's a good way to do business, I believe, because it doesn't only cover the officer, it covers the member too, and stuff like that. So that's why I honestly believe that one time when I talked to Commissioner Harrington, I'm on a webcast with the assistant commissioners every Monday and Friday with the COVID stuff, but before that, we had a consultation with him, and one of his initiatives is to go throughout the whole state of Minnesota with not only tribal police departments, but local law enforcement. He was going to make it a mandate that every law enforcement agency in Minnesota would have body cams. They would wear body cams. And well, of course, you come back to dollars and cents. And a lot of these small town law enforcement can't afford them. They can't afford the leases, Monoman, and they can't afford them. So I think he was going to introduce some legislation to the state of Minnesota that, I don't know if he was doing it, but they were doing it to fund every law enforcement agency with body cams. And I think this was before the George Floyd incident. So, and they were already on the right track already. So, and I don't know where that's at right now, but that would be a good idea, because that's what I believe needs to happen. And you talk about transparency and you talk about that stuff, that would take all that out of there. I mean, when I was at this community meeting on Monday, everybody can watch it on Facebook Live because it's there. But I told the people that were there that we have a policy, and I apologize for saying I don't mean to say that. I mean, because the tribal police is our police department, it's not mine. Mm-hmm. So our tribal police department, if they have policy that they have to turn on their body cams, they have to have them on all times. If we have an officer that doesn't do that, then there's disciplinary action to follow. There is. I guarantee that. I also guarantee I don't guarantee, but I can let you know right now that we do take citizens' complaints very seriously. We do. By post-board mandate, we have to do that. The other thing I want to say about post-board mandates is that I understand well with Commissioner Harrington. He mentioned when I listened in on yesterday with Mike, with the chairman, he said that he's going to push to make that the cultural sensitivity training a post-board mandate, which would give you the most teeth out of the state anyway for law enforcement. It would, because that's what Minnesota is. They're bound by the post-board. And it would be good that they do the post-board mandate that we had to have or that every police officer in Minnesota had some cultural sensitivity training. So we're ahead of the game, and there's a lot of other departments that are ahead of the game, but that's a good thing. So, but if they were able to make it mandatory per post-board, that would be a big step right there, a big step.
Mr. Chair, I have 2 action items that permitted, if I may review them with you right quick. Mr. Chair, what I'm going to recommend to the tribal council here are 2 actions based upon the discussion that we've had here. The first thing I'm going to request the RBC to consider here is, and I haven't made it yet, is a motion to assess local law enforcement compacts per amendment. A part of that assessment would be the addition of body cameras and other videographic footage. That's number 1. Number 2 would be the inclusion of mandatory cultural training. Number 3, that band members be permitted to request a tribal police officer in their presence. That's number 3. Number 4, and I know we've spoken about this for many years, and perhaps this could be something done at the band level, but a citizens commission on law enforcement. I know we've discussed that many times. And then other, as determined by that commission, whenever that's formulated. The other action, Mr. Chair, aside from that motion, I'm requesting that once this motion is passed, that a letter be issued by the RBC signed by the RBC, detailing, this motion. That way we can publish it, to local media and our law enforcement partners. We can notify them that this is how we are exercising our sovereignty, and, that we are, changes here, okay? And that this letter be issued by the end of, by the close of, before the close of business today, if we can, Ms. St. Clair. So that's what I have here, Mr. Chair. If we can get those acted upon, if we can make a motion on all
Can I say something before we act on this? I would like to see that compact, so we can at least look it over, read it, see what's in it.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying is motion to assess.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's just a motion to assess. And then it'll be brought back with those changes, and then we'll act upon it. Now, there may be other changes that may be discovered, but this is just the initial step.
I'm sorry. Can I have
Go
one more? Can you make sure that, that I get a copy of that compact agreement also? And can we try to make those agreements, published
put it on the website.
Yeah, put it on our website.
oh, yeah, we will.
Because especially in the time, like I say, I try to put myself in our employees' shoes when you know, trying to retrieve information, and I'm having such a difficult time because we're in the middle of a pandemic. But that information should really be public to band members, and yeah, I've been reaching out trying to get that compact agreement since it's happened. So.
No, I have never seen a compact either. Yeah, no, that's why I said I'd like to look at it too, you know, to see what.
Yeah, and I don't feel comfortable, you know, just speaking on behalf of the White Earth when I don't have any idea of what the compact is. I was able to find some literature online, but who knows how outdated that is. So, and then again with Mike, I'd like to be considered as one of those cultural, when we do the cultural trainings, I'd like to be considered, since I am credentialed by the tribe to in our culture, language, and teachings. So, and I feel that my specific story can resonate with these officers, and especially me being a band member and from the community. I think I could do an effective job at educating our officers, and I think the credentialing is there. I mean, you guys signed off on it, and just my work, my employment history, and within multiple capacities, including with the White Earth Police Department and Indian Child Welfare, in our schools and the court systems. So I'm just saying that I would like to be considered for that, and I know Herb personally. He's an alumni of the Native Nation Rebuilders program. And then I also wanted to say something else, but I'm getting flustered here, so I'll let you guys have the floor. Good.
Okay, we good, guys.
So I would like that to say access and assess.
Access and assess.
Yeah.
Yes, the motion to modify access and assess.
Okay, so we need a motion to modify
Access
and
and
assess
assess.
the local compacts, assess the local compacts law enforcement. And also for for the amendments.
Motion.
Motion by Umney, second by Kathy. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
You good?
You got a direct.
You want to do another motion on the act of sovereignty or what?
No, the number 2, the letter to.
Oh, yeah, okay, number 2 is, to produce or to create a letter to, get done today to,
Just to the public, to band
Yeah.
membership.
yeah, we'll put out a letter today that we're gonna take action on this, so. A motion to create a letter today to inform our membership of, the actions that were brought on today by one of our.
Second.
Motion by Umsey, second by Kathy, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
I just want to say miigwech, and when I first came in here, I really had a lot of bad things to say about you guys, but I'm happy that we were able to resolve this incident. And, you know, I put all faith in you guys, and I'm glad that because a lot of what really hurts me is that, you know, if this was happening to anyone else, it wouldn't have been addressed. So, I mean, I feel like this is a really historical moment for our band, and we're going to address this and assert our sovereignty. And I think we're really going to, you know, lead by example here. And you know, as it states in my email, you know, I'm all for restorative justice and But the Monoma County Sheriff's Office has been ignoring my messages and my requests, and I do fear that they're gonna try to contradict my story and manipulate the information that I give them. So that's another thing, and I know there's actually a resolution out there that was made by the previous Secretary Treasurer, and it passed for independent community organized public safety review board. And I think when we do the compacts, that's across the board within all our boundaries. So let's have Monoma County, Becker, and Clearwater included in that when making those agreements. I really think with like police brutality and everything, and that's another thing. So I'm sorry, I'm getting all over, but has there been any tribal consultation with the state or the federal government?
We will request it.
Okay.
I mean, through Executive Order 1924, that's what, you know, we have that authority to have a consultation, like, we talked to our DLC and the probation officers, and also, when we talked yesterday with Commissioner Harrington on the phone, is that we did like for a consultation thing. But we kind of got a lot of out there yesterday.
Yeah.
To Commissioner Harrington about what happened with your incident, so I know that's he talked about it, adding that to the post board, that training be mandatory, which would be something we might have to do.
Yeah.
You know, for all the police officers across the state. And when I talked about it yesterday, is we talked about it, and I said, this goes for it goes for all 11 bands across the state, and our brothers and sisters down south of us. So everybody chimed in and started talking, so Commissioner Harrington, you know, he kind of was being really proactive about it, so it's good.
You know, we didn't reach out to you because we didn't want to. I didn't reach out because I didn't know this even happened to you till like yesterday, you know. And then we discussed some of it this morning, you know, and a little bit him and I discussed the other night, last night or night before, you know. So.
Yeah.
No, we were at TEC, and then we got back, was it Tuesday, and then meeting was today, then once I brought up, and of course we had our commissioner call yesterday at 4 o'clock, so it's been discussed. It's not like we just forgot about it already, it's just like it takes time, and then, you know, so you're
yeah, it's just on my end as a tribal member, you know, I want to hold my tribal officials accountable, and you guys have been held accountable, and you have addressed the issue. But yeah, I just wanted to reiterate on, you know, I did talk with Tim Rolls when he first was elected, and I did question him on, are we going to have a seat at the table when they do business? And he says that he assured me yes. And then just I don't want to take anything away from Black Lives Matter, but their movement and that reform, if we don't get proper consultation, that's gonna infringe on our sovereignty once again, because we have government-to-government relations with the state and the federal government. And if they're not going to have us at the table, like we need a seat at that table, and if we don't have it, is that going to put us at a disadvantage when the reform process does happen? So I think we need to continue to assert our sovereignty and let them know that they need to uphold those agreements that they made with our ancestors. And I think that's all I have to say, and I know it's Sammy Gwitch for letting me speak. And I mean, there's more, but we can talk later. I'm good.
Okay, I'm good.
Can I speak?
Yeah.
I want to make a quick statement. Just basically, I support the compact agreements, looking at them a lot because they haven't been reviewed in many years. Actually, before I started with Whiter, that's 16 years now, and I haven't. The only one that has been redone was Clearwater County, because when I came aboard, we actually did. Weren't in the compact with Clearwater County, so we had no jurisdiction. We only had a civil regulatory up in Clearwater County. When I came aboard as a deputy chief, we got into that agreement with Clearwater County, and you know that agreement is the most updated agreement. So, and I do agree with that. So, as far as the requesting a tribal police officer, I support that. You guys passed it. I will honor it, but I will make one quick statement about it, and and I hope I don't offend anybody, but oftentimes it's gonna, if we're looking for some better quality law enforcement, or if we're looking for some more appropriate law enforcement, I will respond by asking for a tribal officer. In that sense, I just need to let everybody know that it might not change the outcome of the law that's being enforced. It won't do that. It probably won't do that. So, and that's all I want to just make everybody understand. So, because I don't want the community to think that because they're requesting a tribal officer, they're going to get a different outcome in the law portion of it. So we just need to understand that. And I just
People will be a lot more comfortable.
I know they would, it's the same way with like our dispatch. We talked about budget cuts and all that, and I thought about maybe with one of the budget cuts, our dispatch, but I can't do that because they trust our dispatch and they call our dispatch. And people don't want to call 911. They just don't feel, in Indian country, I've known that people don't like to call 911. Even if they're calling to report a crime, they're thinking that they're in trouble. But with our dispatch, it's very comfortable for me to do that. So that's all I really wanted to say about that. So I thank you guys for listening to us. I thank you, Eugene, for bringing your concerns and everything. A little bit about the meeting, the healing ceremony. I know, Alan, you asked about that up there, the healing ceremony and the community thing. I attended it. I invited the sheriff to be there. He chose not to be there. I heard a lot of concerns. I did. I heard a lot of concerns there. I sat for, and Eugene will attest to this, and you can see it on Facebook Live, that I heard a lot of concerns. I did. I heard some old concerns. I heard some new concerns. I've heard a lot of concerns, and I heard them. I told them, everybody at that meeting, I said, I hear all your concerns, I said. And I conveyed to the community there that you can call me anytime, day or night, and I might not answer my phone, but I'll call you back. I'll call you back and I will address concerns that you have. You may not like what I have to say to you back because we got facts and stuff like that, but at least we call back. At least I address them and stuff like that. And that's what I kind of pride myself with being the director and the chief of the law enforcement here, is that I don't think I've ever declined anybody. Everybody, I get in trouble from my family for answering my phone. I get in trouble for answering my phone anytime and all that. But it's what I do, and that's the way we work. And I think that's being a very good, it's doing right for the community to listen to people. It is. So I thank you. You guys have any questions for me?
Is Dana ready?
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm doing other stuff. Yes, I'll get her.
Yeah, I'll take over.
Do a 10-minute break. Thanks, Amy.